I choose the hymns, and I know that one wasn't easy to sing, but the words fit so well. And I never realized how this hymn was so innovative in the thinking of beyond this controller paradigm that we've been under for so long. Even the chalice lighting today, the words by Daniel Bradeen invite us into a space of radical possibility. As we enter April, our Soul Matters theme is embracing possibility. And we center our thoughts on gathering here and how that is not about repeating a tradition, but about actively imagining, shaping new futures together. We are, as the reading suggests, weaving a new story. To weave a new story, though, we must first confront the boundaries of what our thinking is and ask what true innovation demands. William Blake wrote, "What is now proved was only once imagined." A lot of times people say science fiction. Science fiction is the beginning, the imagining. I'm going to get my water, sorry. I'm severely allergic to pine trees, and Christmas and spring are my enemies. But that's controller thinking. And that's what I want to talk about today. Our main challenge is to push beyond the limits of our old thinking. For example, to understand the changing meaning of innovation, we must first think about how innovation was considered in the ancient world. To the ancient world, innovation wasn't a buzzword for progress. It was a threat to stability. Greeks were deeply skeptical. In fact, Aristotle believed that all good ways of organizing society had already been discovered. And by the 15th century, to be called an innovator was synonymous with being a heretic or a rebel or a disturber of the peace. For example, the Gutenberg press was seen by religious and political leaders as a tool for sedition and chaos. Innovation remained a creative destruction until the 20th century, when Joseph Schumpeter, the prophet of innovation, reframed it. While his peers saw the economy as stable and balanced, Schumpeter argued that life is never stationary. It is wild and always evolving. Tension remains, however. The economic value of innovation often clashes with authoritarian impulses. Philip Slater, a social critic and author, called the impulse to control innovation the controller mindset. To the controller mindset, innovation threatens the status quo and is seen as corruption. In his book, The Chrysalis Effect, Slater describes a paradigm shift from control culture to an integrative culture. As he describes it, the control culture is in the caterpillar stage. Imagine a caterpillar eating everything, getting ready to go into chrysalis. It is defined by rigid hierarchies, wealth addiction, and a zero-sum focus on dominance. We see that everywhere in our news. Like a caterpillar, endless consumption and top-down authority drive it. Success means defeating competitors and hoarding resources. While the control culture is fueled by technological growth, it is skeptical of it. And blind progress comes at a huge cost, the degradation of our planet and leaving our neighbors behind. In contrast, the integrative culture is in a chrysalis state. This emerging mindset views the world as a networked ecosystem, the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. Survival depends on interdependence, fluid information exchange, and long-term stability for all people, not just for us and me. The tension between these two distinctly different mindsets is not just theoretical. It shapes all the volatility we see in our world today. Today's volatility grows from the control culture's power drive clashing with a new emerging integrative culture and global reality. In this integrative culture, we realize that in reality, damaging a competitor or the environment damages us too. It destabilizes everything and everyone. Today, places like Hui and the Silicon Valley drive the economy, and yet the backlash has been rising, and authoritarianism tries to revive control. This explains the decrease in funding to the arts, to the scientists, and why government support for innovation has become so limited. The danger to innovation is that we internalize the status quo of the controller culture. And we've all done it. I have too. We internalize it so deeply that greed starts to look like it's human nature, and it's not. This makes it hard to trust new and intricate ways of being. Mark Nepo's reflection on Thomas Edison offers a spiritual bridge. Edison's genius was not only in his intellect, it was in his relationship with failure. When a filament failed, he didn't see a dead end. He saw a lesson that didn't work. If we view our lives and justice movements and search for truth as experiments, failure loses its sting. Innovation calls for a confidence of the spirit. A confidence of the spirit that will help us weather any failure, any conflict. Innovation requires the deep understanding that an answer exists somewhere. We're going to keep on until we find it, even if we can't even imagine it yet. Yet there is a trap. If we only innovate like Edison did, searching for the right material for a predetermined goal, we are at risk of becoming a broken record. We may miss unexpected discoveries along the way. Think of the unexpected innovations you've seen in your lifetime. Just think about super glue. Super glue was an attempt to make a suture glue that would suture up cuts. And it doesn't really work for that. But it glues lots of other things unexpectedly very well. This need to allow unexpected solutions to emerge is especially clear in how we approach our democracy. For decades, when we talk about innovating democracy, we focus on deliberation. We gather people, share facts, and ask for a polite conversation. As the February 2026 Journal of Politics notes, this has become a recipe we follow without checking if it actually shifts power. We build mini publics, diverse groups of people that discuss issues while the underlying power structures remain untouched. We focus on polite talking and ignore the dynamics of inequality and have lost the art of debate entirely. True innovation means changing and creating new ways of being together that challenge power dynamics, not just improving the conversation. Researchers call this assemblage an approach that considers the environment, art, protest, and law. Innovation must aim to shift power from the few to the many, sustaining the tool for the old control culture is no longer an option. To truly innovate, we must shed the control culture ways and practice what Mary Parker Follett called the third way. Roger Fisher and William Ury later described this in the book Getting to Yes. In a control culture, the person is the problem. If you disagree, you are either a heretic or a devil. In the third way, leading to the integrative culture, means separating the people from the problem. Most of us still see conflict as a win-lose proposition. We think that the only alternative is something black and white or maybe gray that leaves everyone unhappy. Getting to Yes describes two children fighting over an orange. In control culture, the fair solution is to cut the orange in half. Both children are half satisfied and half disappointed. If they innovate and use a third way, and they ask why each wants the orange to begin with, one might want the juice and the other might need the rind to make a cake. By looking at the interests and not positions, sometimes both get what they need. The third way is not about giving up something. It's about discovering how versatile the orange of our shared life can be. Environmentalists and commercial fishermen seem like enemies, but if they look at their long-term needs, both see a sea full of fish. Innovation happens when we see our opponents and our detractors as co-creators. When we approach our problems shoulder to shoulder, the environment changes from adversarial to collaborative. Our challenge is not to defeat one another, but to overcome stagnation. Overcome the stagnation of our limited imagination. The emerging integrative culture requires the confidence. The main argument calls for the belief that innovation is about transcending our current limitations, together with partners we never even considered being partners before. As we look ahead to the unwritten day, let us be the innovators of the Spirit. Let us move beyond doing things as we always have, because we fear the heresy of change. Let us embrace Edison's persistence. See every failure as a need to step into discovery. Let us see the third way not a gray way, but a new color altogether that emerges when we stop trying to win and we start trying to integrate ideas. What is now proved was only once imagined. Let us imagine a world where power is truly shared, conflict is generative, and our community's ethos is radical innovation.
Good morning, dear ones. My poem today is called Cultivating Flowers to Smile. And I'm wondering, are there any other former brownies or Girl Scouts in the room? Raise your hand. Okay, you might remember a song called, well, that gives it away. I got something in my pocket. It belongs across my face. Keep it very close at hand in a most convenient place. I know you'll never guess it. If you guess a long, long while, change it to UU. I will take it out and I'll put it on. It's a great big UU smile. All right, seriously. Cultivating flowers to smile. I've been carving smile lines deep into my personality. An honest smile is not slapdashed on the face, but emanates from the heart. If the face is a garden, can one plant or nurture smiles in gathering gloom? Victimhood, judgment, and us versus them are only poisonous growing grounds. But the infectious belly laugh of a baby spreads smiles blooming through a crowd. A buoyant morning pours gratitude like sun streaming into every thought, loving kindness, prayers, and positive affirmations. Even science says smiles heal, triggering endorphins, lowering blood pressure, boosting our immune system. As a natural antidepressant, I smile at myself in the mirror. Confirm that I am loving and loved. I can then go out into the world like a bodhisattva of brightness. Our smiles might be the lifeline tossed to someone in despair, or one who has forgotten how to smile. We can join the people of joy, marching, singing as we gather our smiles in bouquets. Connection blooms.